Welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. Today, I have a special guest, a guy that I really love. We go back a long time. Tim Danahey is the host of the Tim Danahey Show, a thought-provoking program that is currently on hiatus. We can't wait to get some form of that show back. He is a former board of director member at the Coffee Party USA. While both Tim and I share the similar values, our differences usually lends itself to great discussion and enhancements of both our beliefs. Tim is one of my most ardent supporters. Tim Danahey, how are you doing today?
I am doing well. It's a thrill to be on the show, Egberto. You're a good man, and the country needs more people like you.
Well, thank you, my brother. Let me tell you something. This morning, I'm going through my paperwork and not paperwork, and nobody does paperwork anymore, my stuff online, and bing, my email rang. And it starts out this way. Dude, I was playing with wealth tax numbers on the back of scrap paper and wanted to spark some thoughts for you. But first, I want to make two statements. I'm not a credible source or economist. That's a false statement. I presume to get rid of the US tax code in this little note. And I continued reading because I wasn't sure what you're going to talk about. So I'm going to ask you to do one thing for me. First of all, will you please read the rest of what you sent me? I think it's prescient.
I'm happy to do that, Egberto, but I'm going to do it. It's more like a bullet point presentation, but I said that the U.S. household wealth in 2019 was $96 trillion, and in 2020, it was $130 trillion. Now, there's no test on this. We're not going to be asking about it, but it went up, increased by 34 trillion in 1 year. And then I also put in Jeff Bezos' net wealth. It was 177 billion in 2019, 189 billion in 2020. It went up 12 billion. And the U.S. federal budget is 4.9 trillion this year, 2021. And my contention was if we tax the wealth at 10% of the increase in wealth at 10%, and the ending net wealth, what Bezos owns at 2%, we would have collected $6.2 trillion in taxes, and we'd have a $1.3 trillion surplus. And just to get it down to a top 10 or 20% level, whatever, I don't know where this economic slot occurs, but suppose someone made $100,000 in 2020, and their household wealth was 200,000. You have a house, you have property, maybe a little bit saved away, and it was 170,000 the prior year, and you had an increase. What I'm trying to get to in all of this, Egberto, is the average household wealth tax would be 7,000, which is less than half of what the statutory income tax rate would be. Bezos, on the other hand, would pay a wealth tax of $5 billion, and he paid nothing. And so the difference, Bezos would still have 182 billion instead of 100. He'd still be an incredibly wealthy man. But instead, because we have an income tax, Bezos paid no money in 2020 effectively, and we have a $1 trillion deficit in the United States. I won't go any more because, you can put up with about 30 seconds of numbers and then it starts to lose. But I'm hoping that it presents a concept maybe we should be considering a little bit more actively than we have.
Okay, let me just take that one step further. That is what we do on that first year. But what's interesting is what you're talking about is every year you tax the increase in wealth. You didn't say you tax all wealth. You said you tax the increase in wealth. Did I understand that correctly?
I would tax this discussion. Of course, economists need to massage it. I would tax the increase at 10%.
Right.
Bezos gets to keep 90% of it. We all get to keep 90% of it. The increase we tax at 10%. But I would tax 2%. And so Bezos, he has investments, he has property, percent tax on it every year. And so 98% of it would be untaxed, essentially. So if we just changed our thinking, got rid of the income tax and come up with some sort of wealth tax, it might be more proportional than what we're doing right now, and perhaps be simpler and have more equity.
You know, you're so right. I was the keynote speaker at the American Equity Union a couple of days ago. And I was bringing up the concept about how much money do you need and who really earned the wealth that people have. In other words, Jeff Bezos is worth $189 billion, as you spoke about. But where did that really come from? Did Bezos really do the kind of effort and work to do that? And my contention was that it's an economic system that rewards a certain manipulation of capital that allows one to amass that amount of wealth. And what you are saying, your proposal that you wrote about, was the perfect way to, I call it the perfect middle ground, if you will. And you're always a kind of a, not necessarily a middle ground guy, but somebody that is very pragmatic. And understanding that big gradients create problems. And if we want changes, it have to be changes that are palatable before somebody in effect goes crazy. So as it turns out, I was speaking to something about wealth and who really owns it. And I think if we spoke about the numbers as you speak about, and at the same time, we make the case, Americans have been indoctrinated. We've all been indoctrinated into believing that if I create a product, I have the infinite ability to capitalize on that product. But you know what, Tim, let's just use you and I as an example. Right now, I have this program, Politics Done Right. Suppose this program, some big corporation decided that they like this program. They wouldn't, but suppose they did and said they wanted to take it national. And I was able to sign a huge contract, and every year I get several $1 million to do Politics Done Right. And it would be great, right? And I would still be doing good. And I will be awash in cash. But here's the magic. This would not have happened without the investment that Tim Danahey and all the other contributors to Politics Done Right that I've had over the years. So this great thing happened to Politics Done Right, this software, this media company. Who deserved the spoils? Would it be only Egberto Willies? Absolutely not. But that is how our economic system works. And go ahead.
Well, Elizabeth Warren made a point, which is valid, and I'm not quoting her exactly, but she said indirectly to billionaires. She said, we educated your workers. We provide the roads that come to your business. We provide the defense of your assets. We regulate the safety of the power and utilities. You have fresh water coming to your facilities. You have reliable sources of power. We make sure that you are not scammed in the banking system. I'm elaborating on what she said.
Right.
But if you have $100 billion, that takes a lot of protecting, and it's not your own private police force is not going to do it. So there needs to be some sort of give back. And I know that, say, Fox News, as an example, might say, well, they are the makers and the takers or the creators and whatever it might be. That's not really valid. You know that. And Egberto, I think you and I agree, we would never want to crush the entrepreneurial spirit. I would never, ever not want somebody to be paid for an idea that people want. I would never do that. But sometimes people get so caught in their activities and pursuits of making money they forget who got them there. And we should never forget that. And so that's the reason, we should all contribute a little bit of taxes, no matter how little or how much is made, we're all part of something wonderful. And I think for someone like Bezos or Musk, or in this case, it was Buffett in the ProPublica article that was often cited, um, uh, a lot of people got them there. Yes, they had an idea, but a lot of people have toiled, a lot of people have purchased the product, a lot of people have supported their infrastructure. Why can't they support ours?
It's interesting because for those people who really have ideas, Tim, and I had a software company. I had a lot of ideas, and from that ideas came over 20 products. And in the early days, when life was, at the time that I wasn't foolish enough to go ahead and do the kind of work I'm doing now, the income from these businesses was greater. But there's one interesting thing that folks don't realize. Those people with great ideas and those who want to continue with great ideas, the thing that drives them is not the money that one can get from great ideas. It is the euphoria that comes from creating great ideas. And if you look at Bill Gates in the beginning, Bill Gates, very, very early on, it was originally the idea. And then when he learned about capitalization, that is when that took over. When he said, no, all these things have worth. And then he became from the ideas guy to the movement guy, and all his ideas thereafter came elsewhere. Same with Bezos. Bezos had the idea of selling books, but after the capitalization thing hit him, it was almost less ideas, building on the ideas of others as you capitalize. A lot of people don't quite understand that engineers, people that produce things, you have several companies yourself, people that produce things, there is a certain euphoria in doing these things that don't require you to say, I've got to turn this into, I got to capitalize everything. And if you doubt that, look at communist countries, look at every type of country there is. And I'm not a communist at all. But what I'm saying, look at every country that you can see out there. And individually, people innovate. I mean, they individually innovate. Now, capitalization of the innovation occurs best in America, but people innovate all around the world.
Well, I believe David K. Wrote in one of his books about even Bill Gates and others who are early pioneers. Perhaps Bezos was one of them, early pioneers in the software industry. They all got help, whether it was free computer time at a land grant university like University of Michigan,
Right.
whether it be wherever, they got help. Bill Gates got help from his father. Everybody got a little bit of a boost in the early days of software and computer development. We must not forget what leads us to our success, what started us. And ultimately, I think that leads to more success. To be able to sustain, encourage, share, and reward that energy leads to more energy.
Yes.
And so I'm happy Bezos is making a lot of money, but he's doing it on the backs of a lot of distribution workers who are broken. Yes. And the solution is not Zen rooms that show company videos, booths that show company videos to give a person a 30-second break. There needs to be a better way of doing this. Egberto, you and I both support capitalism, but capitalism to an excess is as bad as communism to an excess. No system is without its own seeds of destruction. And so the humanity is lacking in capitalism, but I might also offer that sometimes we lose sight of the humanity in running a business too.
That's the magic.
I think we're missing something. If Henry Ford did this, everybody says he created the $5 a day wage, and they said, "Oh, that's fantastic," and he's really going to pay his people. Well, the problem was he had created a work atmosphere that had gone from the foreman apprentice structure, where it was a team of people making cars, and people were engaged. They were learning. They would learn about the drivetrain. They would learn about the finish, whatever. And it was an engaged team that was producing cars. But then he bought into this Frederick Taylor model, of scientific production.
Right.
And so what happened is that everybody got segmented. Everybody had to do the same thing, same bolt turn, same torque, that kind of thing. And so he was losing people right and left. And so he said, I'm going to pay him $5 a day. Excuse me. So that's how he retained people, but it became a soulless thing. And the irony of that is production still remained about a car a minute. And, production really didn't increase, but it's evident that capitalism had to buy its way out, that the quality of life was not sustained.
Absolutely. So, well, Tim, the question I ask everybody at the end of an interview, and it goes as follows. What would you have liked me to ask you that I didn't?
I would like you to ask me why you're not national, Egberto. I mean, a quality man like you that has an open forum that encourages diversity of thought. You share these ideas. It's a disservice that you are not a national broadcaster. That would be the question that you should ask me. And what can I do to help you? Say, Tim, what can you do to help me become a national guy? I can tell you, I can extol your praises and say, if ever a man deserved it, it would be you.
You are so kind. And let me just say one thing, grassroots, I am happy to keep moving one step at a time and growing slowly. Slow growth is a good thing. And with people like you and many others, we'll continue our slow growth to really start changing minds and really start building minds. So look, Tim, I thank you so kindly for being on Politics Done Right, and you keep doing what you're doing, because you keep sending me stuff like this, because I tell you what, you're always, as usual, thought-provoking. You have a wonderful day, and thank you for having been on Politics Done Right.
It's an honor, Egberto. You too.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.